Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Maple Forward Friends. Today's episode of the podcast is brought to you by Elixir Specialty Coffee. Looks like whiskey, feels like tea, made from coffee, and unlike anything you've ever tasted before, Elixir is available at elixirspecialtycoffee.com. Head there and use your code IMAPITFORWARD to get 10% off your first order today. Today on the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward, we are talking about the hustle involved in starting a coffee business and how hard you should go at that hustle. There will be a blog post coming out on our blog later today, mapitforward.org/blog, and is going to go into some of the things that you should and shouldn't do when it comes to opening a coffee business with regards to the coffee hustle. But what is the hustle? What do I mean by that? And why is this such a big deal to be talking about right now? Excuse me. So as you may have noticed, I am focusing a lot at the moment on planning for the next decade, both for myself, for my business, and for the content that we're putting out in Map It Forward. Why is this so important? Well, because some of you are considering whether you should be going into business in the next decade or in the next couple of years. Others are in the thick of it. Others are contemplating, how am I going to get as successful as I possibly can be? Excuse me. And if these are things that you're thinking about, you're absolutely on track for getting ready for success in the coffee industry. But the hustle seems to be a differentiating factor that determines a big part of whether you're going to be successful, whether it be in business or in a career, or whether you're not going to be successful. And recently there's been some talk in our industry about whether you should be hustling hard or whether you should be looking for work-life balance. And the answer to that question is way more complex than just hustle hard or go for work-life balance. It's really not that simple. What you need to be doing is considering a couple of things. First of all, what does your life look like? If you have responsibilities to a family, if you have responsibilities to children, to a partner, to a bunch of commitments, you need to consider that before you consider how much of the hustle you're able to commit to. I have fashioned my life to allow me to hustle as hard as I want. So I am not married, I don't have children, and I have made a space in my life because I enjoy the hustle. I love the intricacies of what it takes to try different things and be innovative, and I want the mind and emotional bandwidth to be able to commit to that. I find it fulfilling, and because of that, I don't want to attribute that time and that bandwidth to children or to a marriage. Marriage right now, like I'm never going to get married again, but to a relationship per se. This is a time in my life where I'm focusing on building businesses and securing my long-term financial freedom. I'm particularly sensitive about this as a female because this is the first time in history that this is something that's really properly attainable for women, and I want to make sure that I take advantage of that. And excuse me, because I have taken that into mind, I can contribute as much as I want, as much of my bandwidth as I choose to the hustle without having to impinge on other people's lives because I have no dependents. People who have dependents though, dependents being children and spouses and other people who depend on you, whether it be financially or for your time, you have to consider how you are going to take care of your responsibilities, or how you're going to maneuver your responsibilities when it comes to committing to the hustle. Because let me be really, really clear. If you're going to give to this hustle, it is a fucking grind. It really is. It is a huge, huge grind. You are spending at least 12 hours a day trying to figure it out in the first few years. The reason is because a lot of us don't know what we're doing in the beginning. A lot of us don't have the luxury of the next thing that I want to talk about that will determine how much hassle that you have to partake in. And that's the resources that are available to you. If you are lucky enough, that's the best way to say this. If you are lucky enough to have access to a lot of money and a lot of people to work for you. So money is a resource. It buys you, or it affords you, the luxury of being able to pay for things like publicists and branding companies and staff and equipment and excuse me, printing on cups that allow to push your brand into the community and onto coffee bags and all of that kind of stuff. Money is a great resource for that. If you have the luxury of having access to endless amounts of money, then the hustle gets easier for a minute. Because everything you need to learn, you can't miss learning it. You just end up having to learn it later. And so I do caution you and say that there are some things as a business owner that you can't not learn about. So an example of this, if you have the luxury of being able to afford an accountant right off the bat, excuse me, that's a wonderful luxury to have. And when I say that, I mean an accountant to do your bookkeeping. Most of us can't. It's something that you should try very hard to find money for. If you can't, get a program, pay for a program like QuickBooks or Xero or whatever, and take the online courses. There are a bunch of free online courses that will teach you how to do it. Even if you have the money, though, to afford an accountant to do your bookkeeping or a bookkeeper to do your bookkeeping, you still at some point have to learn how to read a balance sheet, how to read a profit and loss statement, and how to understand them. So even if you're going to push that over to somebody else to do, that is a lesson you cannot avoid forever. You will still have to come back to learn how to do that. Excuse me. Other things. You're going to have to learn how to sell. No matter how much money you have, eventually you are going to have to step into different parts of your business when people come and go, and you will have, whatever it is for you, an attrition rate that will blow your mind, because it's the coffee industry, and attrition rate is the amount of people that leave your business. It will blow your mind how that swinging door keeps people leaving and coming in and leaving and coming in. It's important for you to find a way to lower that attrition rate as quickly as possible. And that only comes from you being able to put the work and the time into culture. And that's one thing that money can't buy. No matter how much money you have, establishing a culture where your people believe you, where your staff want to get behind you, they want to be a part of it, your customers see that, and they want to be a part of whatever it is that's creating this brand that seems to have employee loyalty, it can only be done by partaking in the hustle. Now, there's one other thing that I want to talk about today, and that's this idea of sweat equity. So, sweat equity is another word for the hustle. It's the equity that you own of your business. That's the hard work. So if you're entering into a partnership, one partner may bring money, the other partner may bring sweat equity. And they are doing the hard work or the hustle that's required to build this business. The amount of hustle that you put in doesn't go unrecognized if you end up resulting in a business that's worth something. The sweat equity is worth something. And if you do it well, you will build something that eventually can be sold. But you cannot put a price on sweat equity with regards to you as the person that's putting in the sweat equity. A caution. There are some people that are built for the hustle, and there are some people that are not built for the hustle. If you are built for the hustle, it can get quite addictive because the wins are very validating. The people who are built for the hustle are the kinds of people who are either one of two things. They're either competitive or they're curious. And I'm not a competitive person. I'm a hyper curious person. And so I like to explore that if I do something, how will that affect certain things? I'm curious about exploring ideas and how to execute them and the consequences of executing those ideas. When you do something a number of times, when you try different things and you get no wins, and then you eventually get a win, that win, that payoff, that kind of, I don't know what the real word is, because a win and a payoff doesn't really encapsulate what the freedom feels like when it happens. But it is exuberating. And it gives you a kind of high that is exuberating and elating and feels fabulous. And so what I would encourage you to do is to find the balance of the hustle that works for you. And finding that balance is a part of learning how to be a business person or a business owner or an entrepreneur if you're being innovative. I consider it the path to finding a flow. So whenever I'm consulting for a new business, the first thing I tell particularly first-time business owners is part of your job and in the background should be this question: how do I find flow the quickest? You want to get into a rhythm. You want to find a way to get into a routine and get clarity on what it is you are trying to achieve over a 10-year period, over the life of the business, and then cut that down into 12 monthly increments using the map that we can help create for you or the map that you've created for yourself. And once you get into a flow, once you get into a rhythm that you're working towards, the hustle feels manageable. It's still hard work. I'm still encouraging everybody that is listening to this or watching this or whatever, always do hard shit in your life. It will make you a better person. It will grow you body, mind, and soul. But do it in a way that isn't stifling. because you can push too hard. I've learnt that myself many times. So I'd love to hear your thoughts about this. I'd love to hear what you think about the hustle, what you think about the grind. What has it done to you? Has it hindered you? Has it hurt you? Has it grown you? What advice do you have for other people that are going into business? Let me know in the comments below. Peace, love, and peanut butter, friends. Have an amazing rest of your day.